Yeah. Okay, here we are. Yeah. Welcome. Good evening. You're on the Beat Radio Bali. We're doing the Tuesday night live chat and set, and with special guest tonight is Michaelis.
Just kidding. I'm doing the Will Ferrell, like, I don't know, do with my hands thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm going to stop doing that. Hey, how are you?
I'm all right.
Okay, I'm looking
Remember,
there.
look here.
There's a little sticker in front of me that says, look here. So if I just, okay, cool.
So, as I said, this is chat and set. And it's nice and cool in here, right?
It is really nice. Yeah.
Look, we start off with 3 simple questions.
Uh-oh.
Which is, what is it? I'll never remember them. Where are you from? How old are you? And how did you get into DJing?
Okay. Well, where am I from? I'm from Los Angeles, California. I was born in Santa Monica Hospital. It's very exciting. I don't really know what my rising is, so it's not that important.
I would imagine you're a Venus.
Would you? Venus. Let's see. I'm 43 years old. I'm a Taurus. It's very May 1st, if you want to know.
Right.
And how did I become a DJ? That's a long story.
Well, you could start from the beginning. We've got all night, more or less.
Well, shit, Dan. Okay. So, first of all, I'm the least likely DJ ever. I was born deaf. So that's how it started. Okay?
Wait a minute.
Yes. That's how it began.
Really?
Yeah, I was born deaf. I had like so much fluid in my ears, and they didn't even know what was wrong with me. For a while, they thought I was like mentally challenged. I don't know what the PC term is, because when I saw a fire truck go by, I'd be like, you know what I mean? So, and I was a really late talker.
Oh, right.
So,
but you could hear the fire truck going by.
Yeah, I could kind of like see it, the lights, whatever,
right.
but that was it.
All
so
right.
they finally unplugged my ears and realized that, he's not deaf. He can hear now.
And that's true. You could hear them.
Yeah, I could hear them, but I could hear like too well. And I was like, that made me afraid of roller coasters, because my mom decided shortly after that to take me to Disneyland on Thunder Mountain. And it was so loud and it scared the shit out of me. And for 30 years, I basically spent my life completely in fear of roller coasters.
And how old were you when they cleared your ears?
I think I was around 2.5.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
You're on roller coasters. I would have been shit scared on roller coasters at 2.5 too, but that's beside the point.
So then,
right.
The other problem is I have no rhythm, right? None. Like, I used to be a ballroom dancer. I didn't know my left from my right. My mom used to put Band-Aids on my hands with an L and an R. Okay. And she used to sit in a chair and just go like this to the beat, because I could not figure it out, right? It was horrible.
Was that connected with your ears, or was something else?
No, that's just connected with, like, how much...
The center of your brain.
I'm just a mess, right? How awkward I am. So yeah, there's that, and I was really into dancing, actually, and I was a competitive ballroom dancer, which is not something that a lot of people know, but
right.
And I started going to clubs probably around 18 years old, actually. The first was the Probe. It was Club 70s on Sunday nights in Hollywood, and it was awesome. I just kind of, fell in love with that music, which was actually disco at the time. Which was kind of a departure for me, because I never liked hip hop. I never liked any kind of pop. I was like a straight metalhead all through middle school. I'm getting close. Oh, we're getting close?
Get a bit close.
Oh my goodness.
You don't smell that much.
Are we friends?
We could be very close friends, but we're not going to do it live.
Anyway. Okay, cool.
What was that, 1990s? It sounds like disco was 70s, right?
Yeah, totally. But, they were bringing it back. I used to get all dressed up, and it was very exciting. But what wound up happening was I fell in love with drugs. That was fantastic. And
don't we all?
Yeah, totally.
Or didn't we all?
And there was a club called Logic, actually, on Sunday nights at the West End, and Mark Lewis, and he was a resident there. And then there was Club Lingerie, where Marcus Wyatt was a resident, and people like King Britt and Doc Martin and all these people would just come in there. Grant Plant from the UK, who was one of my all-time favorite DJs. Would come in there, and I would literally just dance and be really high, and then go on to the after hours and dance some more and be more high, and then go on to the after hours and dance and be more high, and then go to the apartment, and then all of a sudden one of my friends had DJ equipment there.
All right.
And
wait a minute. This is the first time you went out, or is this after a number of times?
No, this is a number of times. I mean, like, there was like literally a place that I went to every single night, and we kind of traveled like a family to all these different places.
All your friends, the gang.
Yeah, there was a group of us. Yeah, and we all.
And that was all house music.
It was all house music.
Right.
Yeah, totally. House and breaks. funky breaks.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, I hated hip hop actually. I thought it was the dumbest.
We'll get to that later.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. So it was all definitely like house music. It was proper house music. It was proper deep, soulful. Marcus Wyatt, Mark Farina, epic sets.
I read somewhere it was progressive house before the EDM crowd stole the term.
Oh yeah, I don't even know what is progressive house and EDM now. It's like these horrible like big room synths.
Yeah,
like it
EDM.
makes me want to like shoot myself in the brain.
Exactly, and they should shoot the dude who's putting that tag on their music.
I know. Beatport was really like struggling for a while, trying to figure out what they were gonna like label as genres. I don't know.
Progressive house EDM was them.
Yeah, totally. Now it's just called big room. Anyway,
so we're back in the 90s.
Back in the 90s, I think we're in like 97 at this point. And yeah,
interesting time.
A buddy of mine had turntables, and we'd go to his house like for after hours, and we'd all take a bunch of E and he would DJ for us, and he was, I'm sorry to say this, but he was horrible. He couldn't beat match, and he was so cute. His little butt would bounce off beat as he would bring in and train wreck the song. And one day I just asked him, I'm like, yo, is it cool if I try it? Because I figured like I can't be worse, right? So I did, and it was just one of those things that came really natural for me, and I just became obsessed. Like I would hear records and I would mix them in my head, and then I would like try to find them, and then I would mix them live, and it'd be like, you know what I mean?
But you didn't get training or something? You didn't ask? Or there's somebody there that you asked how to do it, or you just picked it up?
It was, I mean, he's like showed me what the faders were, what the cross faders were, what the volume faders were. He told me the pitch control and the turntable, but like that was it.
Yeah,
like
it was pretty basic back then too.
Totally. I mean, we didn't have anything fancy. There was no Serato. It was just like records.
Yeah.
Right. So what really,
and also
yes,
cutting. It was also a lot of like jazzy, funky, sort of normal rock and roll sort of or jazz music, right?
Yeah, I mean,
on those albums, it wasn't all just beats.
Yeah, but we were playing house music.
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
Yeah, definitely. It was all like house and breaks that we were doing at the time.
Well, maybe that was back in the 80s.
Definitely back in the 80s.
Yep.
Sorry.
Okay.
Age gap. It just happened. So
that might come back to that again.
I know. I like that. It's good. So what happened next?
Yeah.
Oh, meth. Meth happened next.
Oh, shit.
A lot of like smoking meth on light bulbs and living homeless in my friend's garage. That was exciting, on his couch. And he just had crates of records, and he was selling lots of E at the time. And he just let me stay there because he knew I wouldn't steal from him. And basically, I spent about 8 months just high, like spinning records, not sleeping. And that's how I got better at it. And then I went to Israel for a year.
What was that about?
Oh, man, that was about me running away from the police. I'd just gotten arrested for possession for sales of narcotics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's...
checkered history.
I know, it's interesting times. And
how old are you at this point?
I think I'm 19.
Right.
Yeah,
Just young.
Yeah, I'm young.
Pretty young.
Yeah, maybe 20.
But a lot of things happen in those years, right?
Yeah, it was really messy. Yeah, super messy.
So you end up in Israel.
Yeah,
You're spinning in Israel? Or?
I did, actually. I lied. I totally lied and said I think I was sponsored by some record label, Moon.
Oh, yeah, why wouldn't it?
Moon something, I forget. Moon Tribe.
Moon Records?
I don't remember what it was called.
Half Moon Bay?
Something. But a girlfriend of mine actually in LA had a friend who basically worked for that label, and they sent me a bunch of records, which was cool. And basically, I was horrible. I played at this place called what was it called? I forget what it's called. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. But
Tel Aviv?
Yeah, it wasn't Tel Aviv,
right.
But I was horrible. I mean, like train wrecked.
You keep on saying that, but I believe you're one of the biggest.
No, it was so bad at that time. Like, it was like, first of all, I had broken headphones because I couldn't hear anything. And it was just a horrible thing. So anyway, I wound up playing this little bar after that, where they had like rotary dial turntables, like not even the pitch control kind. And I wound up playing there for like 8 months, a couple nights a week, and that's how I got good.
Well, that's great.
Because if you can mix on that shit, then you can mix on anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and that's
it's also, what I mean is like being 19 or 20 years old and being a DJ is quite a good way to see the world, right?
Totally.
You're right in the middle of everything.
I was in the middle of everything, and it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of partying.
And let's face it, the nightlife is like, well, most of your life, especially when you're younger. Totally. That is the center of everything.
And it was so much better back then. Like, people actually had fun. They danced. They interacted with each other. There was no cell phones.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There was no, like...
No capturing every single moment of it.
hello, this is my life right now. You know what I mean? Like that, it was amazing. There was no like, oh my God, I gotta buy more bottles because that dude's buying more bottles. Like none of that was happening.
Well, that was later too. I reckon bottle kind of world, sofa world came. I don't know where I was living anyway. But we'll get there. So you're in Tel Aviv.
Yeah, I'm in Tel Aviv.
Dangerous place.
No, it was actually awesome. It was really cool. I was supposed to go to the army, but I wound up not doing that, and I came back to America. I wound up facing that case that I was supposed to go to jail for, and I wound up just getting put on probation.
Okay.
And then shortly after that, I was arrested again for manufacturing methamphetamine.
Oh shit!
So that didn't work.
They should have thrown you in jail the first time.
I know. It was a mess. It was really good. So then I got sober, and then here I am today. So
yes, I read about that in your blog.
In my blog.
In your blog from back in the late 2000s.
I know, early 2000s.
Was it
the mid 2000s? Well, I mean,
I didn't go back all the way to the beginning. You know, I couldn't figure out where the beginning was.
Well, I guess if you like read 2009, we're like in the halfway point, right?
Oh,
so
right.
that would be like the mid to now, right?
Shoosh.
Of the now.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
We're now.
Well, we're now.
That's right.
There's a lot happened in between Tel Aviv, which would have been around 1999.
Yeah, around
Is it?
there. Yeah, probably 98.
All right. Then, so you went back there. You spent some time helping out the society. Then, what happened?
Oh, after I got sober?
After you got out, yeah.
Oh shit. Well, I thought I was never gonna DJ again. I started working in treatment and like doing the whole like managing sober livings, running treatment centers, all that kind of thing. And I had a friend of mine who was a DJ at the time, this guy Jason Deo, and he took me to my first club at a year and a half sober. And I wound up seeing all my old friends there who I used to get high with, and they were pretty much all doing the same shit. And it was like, oh, I don't want that really anymore.
Right.
But I still love DJing.
And DJing was definitely part of that.
Yeah, totally.
Kind of world, right?
Absolutely. So my uncle bought me some turntables, and I had my first turntables in sobriety. And yeah, and then I was just playing, house music at my house, kind of like as a hobby for a little bit. And then I saw this movie Scratch. Have you seen it? Have you ever heard of it? It's like the history of the scratch. Okay. Yeah, totally. Yeah. And there's this little segment in there of Mixmaster Mike, who like became one of my idols, where he takes like this old country record and he like scratches it over what's the name of that track?
One of those tracks must be famous at the time. If I'd seen, but it was a classic track.
Yeah, it was dope. Anyway, so I looked at that and I was like, that's what I want to do. And so basically, then I just started obsessing. I'd like hear all these different scratch patterns in my head in the middle of the night, and I'd go out to my turntables at like 3 a.m. and I would just practice and practice and practice until what was going on in my head was coming out of the speakers, and that became that. And then I started trying to be like creative, like basically taking breakbeat records that were played at 45 and putting them at 33 and like mixing it with hip-hop records and then speeding them up in the break at 45 and then like dropping breaks with it, house with it.
Was there a reason because for like from switching from house music to hip-hop to that sound? Was it to do with the drugs?
No, actually what it was there's this guy DJ AM, and he basically like commercialized open format DJing in America, where it like you had to, and plus Serato had just come out. This was in 2007, 2008, and so you had access to all this music. It wasn't about like what you had in your crate and carrying like all these records everywhere, which was a miracle. You had access now to like 40,000 songs.
Right.
And he basically pushed all the DJs that I know sort of in LA that wanted to make money at that time to sort of broaden their horizons and think outside of the box, because he was next leveling it,
Right.
Yeah.
So, but that means you have to listen to like 40,000 songs too, right?
Yeah, totally. And you have to know music and also try to be as ironic and strange as you possibly can.
And as original as possible.
Totally.
And everyone's got access to the same track, so it's a fight to the finish of what you're going to be playing, right?
Absolutely.
Which is still the same
today.
today, right?
It's like so. Yeah, I know. That's a whole other thing. So
did you hang around when this is back in LA, and you were learning this in your back room, and then eventually you took it out?
Yeah. My buddy Todd booked me at this event with like some of my idols. I think Marcus White was playing there, Mark Lewis, and I think I was still playing vinyl at this time, and I played a vinyl house set. It was like at this exotic erotic ball, which was
exotic
erotic ball. Yeah, it was like this big party they brought from San Francisco down to LA. And that was my first paying job in sobriety DJing. And it was awesome. I had a great time. I think that was in 2002.
And that's no drinking, no anything?
No drinking, no nothing. Yeah, we're done with that. And then,
And that's still today?
Yeah, I've been sober for 21 years.
All right. Not a drink?
Not a drink, man.
Wow.
Yeah, not a drink, not a drug. I smoked cigarettes off and on for a bit, but I quit that too, like about a couple years ago.
And how do you feel about that?
I feel awesome. I feel super awesome.
How do you feel when you're in a club or something and everyone's hammered?
I think it's really funny, actually. A lot of times, like, I'm not talking shit about you guys, I swear, but like a lot of times it's just a bunch of examples of what I don't want in my life, you know what I mean? Like when you see like the girl sitting here like this and just like puking on herself, you know what I mean? Or you see like those guys in the corner and they're like about to start a fight, it's like, I don't want that in my life, you know?
Exactly.
Like, that's not attractive to me.
So how do you handle that when you?
I just laugh.
Yeah, but I guess you got the barrier.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if I was not DJing, and most people in Bali know, like, if I'm not DJing, I'm not out. Like, it's just not the environment that I want to be in if I don't have a purpose to be there.
Well, that seems to be the majority of DJs, right?
Maybe.
There's not
I don't know.
that many going out.
I feel like they go out and they like network and they socialize, which I tried a little bit in LA. You know, I would like go to some after parties when I was playing at Supper Club, and I mean, just everyone was so coked up, and I was like, I don't really want to be here. You know what I mean? It's just like,
and no one's gonna listen to you or remember it in the morning anyway.
Totally.
Unless you're handing them out free drinks or something.
Yeah, absolutely, or giving them cocaine.
Yeah, they'll love you forever.
I know, totally. Well, yeah, maybe. It's real
until
rough.
you run out.
Totally, exactly.
So you're over in Russia too. I read in one of your blogs.
I did. This lady, Lori Rodkin, brought me out to Russia to DJ for an Aerosmith party run by Podium.
Wow.
And I did this whole production. It was actually the first time I ever really did production with my buddy Henry Strange, creating this sort of Aerosmith mashup-y, remix-y thing, which was a lot of fun. And
that was a single or something else?
Yeah, it was a single that I had to play at the party, basically. And then I met some guy, Bob, there, and he introduced me to this dude, Dima, and Dima had a Thursday night, and I said, hey, I'm a DJ in LA, will you let me play?
Have a go.
Yeah, and he's like, okay, cool, and I went there. It was Club Fresh, actually, and yeah, so I started playing there, and it went down really well, and then I was going back out there to do another event for Podium like a couple months later, and I messaged them ahead of time. I was like, yo, I'm coming out a couple months, can you guys book me some jobs? And all of a sudden I was playing at like 6 or 7 different places, and then it's like, okay, you guys, let's make some money, let's do this shit, right?
And you began to get a name.
Yeah, so like
around Russia.
Well, and also like at the time I was doing like kind of what AM was doing with hip hop with Electro House, because Electro House was kind of popular at that time. So, I mean, I was doing a lot of, like, live remixing of, like, commercial hip-hop songs over electro house stuff and, like, mashup stuff like that, which was fun. I was really creative and...
And that was that sort of sound that was around during the first part of the 20s?
Yeah, totally.
2000s?
Yeah. Maybe 2006 or 7. 8. I don't know.
So playing all over here. Before I go too far into Bali, when were you first here in Bali?
6 years ago.
All right.
I don't know what year.
The first time.
Yeah, that was the absolute first time. Yeah. I'd never been here before. Actually, that lady Lori that I'm telling you about, she had been to Bali before, and she had a picture of like an outdoor shower in the middle of a jungle at some fancy place that she stayed. And I saw that, and I like just stuck in my mind. I'm like, that's where I want to be someday.
Yeah.
And so when the time came,
that Bali style,
I remembered.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Gets under your skin.
Here I am. It is super under the skin.
And that was like one trip, like holiday.
Well, for her, I was there.
No, but what I mean,
went
6 years ago.
No, there's no holiday. I literally gave away my stuff.
You just without being here before.
Yeah, I said, hey guys,
I've got a photo.
Yeah.
Of the shower,
which I hadn't seen like probably
in my mind
7 years. Yeah, it was in my mind. That's how powerful it was. And I was just like, I literally called my friends. I'm like, yo, I'm giving away all my couches and all my furniture and my like literally everything. Here, you guys want to come pick it up, and people just came and picked it up. You know, I made the decision to move in November, and I was gone by January.
Was that, you know, have you seen the movie Eat, Pray, Love at that time?
Eat, Pray, Love? No, I didn't see
No,
that.
okay.
Come on, Julia
I
Roberts.
would never.
What are we doing? With
I would
our lives
never
right
admit
now?
to that either.
What are we doing? No,
And a lot of people did that, right?
I know.
They saw that movie, they thought they had to be in
I'm definitely.
Ubud
I'm
or
not.
something.
I'm not an Eat, Pray, Love kind of a guy.
And funnily enough, back in those years, I can't remember even what year that was. It must be 10 years or more. But you go up to Ubud and you'd go into a cafe or a restaurant or something, and you'd see these single women, you know, just sitting at the table,
Just looking,
just waiting.
That's so
Waiting for
funny. When I moved,
Waiting for something to happen.
When I moved to Bali, my buddy Drew basically told me that like Ubud is a bunch of single women just walking around like zombies. I was just like
waiting for some handsome Brazilian to
what are
turn
you
up.
talking about? But yeah, I mean, I guess so. I don't know if it's still like that, but
Probably
I don't know.
is.
I saw a lot of guys like walking on ropes and like doing that balancing weird stuff, and
There's a lot of that shit.
and yoga with like no
Yeah.
shirt on.
Yeah.
That's what I saw in Ubud.
Well, that's the sort of thing that happens at Bali Spirit Festival. Have you been there?
I have not.
Oh,
I haven't
you-
done ecstatic dance either.
Oh, you should.
I know, that's what I hear.
Actually, you should play your music up there because it's great fun. I go up there because the Beat magazine gets involved with Megan, who organises it, and we a number of times we've spent up there. You know, it's a great place, great music, great all this world music, which
Oh,
you
cool.
think, oh my god, it's full of hippies. It's actually really enjoyable.
Hippies are fun. They got their
Yeah.
place in the world.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Were you a bit of a hippie or something?
I definitely went through a hippie phase. I went through like all kinds of phases.
I know. I wrote something down here from your blog: musical journey and self-discovery.
Oh yeah. What does that
Did
mean?
you do that?
Did I do some self-discovery?
Yeah, within the musical journey.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, mostly with production, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because you know, like, my brain tells me that I can't do something. You know what I mean? Or I'm not gonna be good enough, or all that kind of stuff. And so to like actually sit down and just do it, and then see what you're capable of, and then listen back to it and be like, how did I even think of that?
Right.
Like that's definitely.
Listening back to it straight after you did it, or a period later.
I mean, even a period later.
Yeah.
Yeah, straight after I did it, and then just like the whole experience of like hearing stuff come out of nowhere in your brain, like different harmonies or different instruments to add in, nuances and stuff. Like how does that? I don't know where that comes from.
But I also noted on your, you know, it's not as if it's just today actually. I
I
watched.
feel like you really studied me. This
your
is
stories,
He's a stalker.
right? Stories on Instagram. It seems like
yeah.
you're a real spiritual sort of person or something. Is that part of the game?
Is it part of the facade? Oh yeah. Is that part of the manipulation? No, actually, I really, you know, DJing is cool, but it's definitely not like my thing, and it hasn't been for a long time. I think for the last 11 years, I've pretty much been dedicating my life to as much service as I possibly can to people, and the pandemic has kind of opened up the world to me in terms of being able to be of service to people all over the world, because everything's kind of online these days. So that's kind of like what I do all day.
And that's you were saying before, it's some kind of diet or something. You're
Oh, that's a whole
trying
other
to
thing.
spread the word about that, or is it spreading the word about, you know, finding yourself or something?
Well, I quit smoking 2 years ago, and I like, you know, was 42 years old, and I was like, man, I've never had a six-pack in my entire life. I'm going to try to do this. So I hit up my boy TJ at Team Body Warrior Fitness back in LA, and he was like, yeah, I'll help you out. And so he gave me like a meal plan and a workout plan, and I got there. Like I got to meet those goals that I wanted to meet. So this last year I've been basically just sort of, this is not exciting for you, but I've been
How long did it take you to get the six-pack? I'm sure a lot of people are interested in that.
Honestly, it took probably about 8 months.
Oh, Jesus.
8 months of like consistent like eating and training, like, you know, training probably 6 days a week and eating.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, it was a lot of work.
Right?
Yeah, totally.
But you're not drinking
But
too,
actually, in the
so-
grand scheme of things, it's not that much work. It's 8 months of your life. That's like a drop, right?
No, but yeah, okay, consciously, I don't know how much work that is, but you know, day by day,
Yeah, it's about
a little bit every day, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit every day.
But I guess a lot of people are doing that too, right?
Totally.
But,
Absolutely.
You know, I wouldn't mind doing it. I'll look at more at your stories later.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm in it. Hey. Yeah. Drug and alcohol-free events.
Yes.
You've been doing those for years. Right?
I haven't done any since I moved to Bali.
Okay.
Actually, but yeah, I did. I mean, there's not a lot of drug and alcohol-free events here in LA. Like the sort of drug and alcohol-free community is like much more young and fun and sort of lively, and they do a lot of events.
I think what they call ecstatic dancing.
Are they drug and alcohol free?
Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
It's like 8 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday. Unless it's an after party.
I thought it was like a Friday night thing.
That's, in Ubud anyway.
Okay.
Yoga.
All right, cool.
Yoga house or whatever it is. No, but there's no alcohol, there's no drugs. Everyone's kind of, hippie sort of dancing.
Oh,
Bless their souls, or you Ubud people. We love you a lot down this way. And Canggu people are kind of similar to Ubud people in many ways, right?
I mean, I guess on the outside.
Oh. you've looked at the inside.
Yeah, the inside's often different. Maybe they're trying to be. I don't know. I don't know.
What about spirituality?
What about it?
Would you call yourself spiritual?
I mean, I think everybody is spiritual. I mean, like innately, I think that people get away from it because they get involved in sort of like the human condition, which is a lot of like self-centeredness, self-driven. I need to get this. I need to get mine. I need to take this. I'm worried if I lose this. That whole stuff, But
well, I guess if you're not doing drugs or alcohol, you got plenty of time to contemplate.
Well, I mean,
life.
The thing about like not using drugs and alcohol is that in order to, because drugs and alcohol are kind of like an escape from here, right? And they kind of launch you into the present moment. So when you remove that, you have to be able to exist in the present moment and be happy.
Yeah.
And my experience,
which we do the majority of the time, right? I guess.
Well,
unless you're hammered 24/7.
Yeah, totally. But a lot of people who are not drinking, or when they're not drinking, are not happy. I mean, you can see it on the roads. Like you can see people driving their motorbikes with the scowls on their face, and they're angry, and they do the beep beeps and
in the Western world.
Yeah, but it's crazy. But I mean, that's one of the things that I love about Bali and the Balinese people, or Indonesian people, is just that whole idea of smiling and sending love and kindness is really reciprocated here, and that's why I've stayed here. Is it really sort of resonates with the path that I'm on, versus being in LA where I can be sitting with my best friend who I haven't seen in like a year, and spending like the one moment of 20 minutes that we have with each other, and she would be like playing Words with Friends with somebody else. You know what I mean? So like that whole lack of connectivity. But yeah,
on the phone, you mean?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So,
but here too, there's also, I've lived here 25 years. First time I was here was 40 years ago. So it seems like there's a disconnect from the Balinese as well in many ways. That they're not bothered at all what you do.
Totally.
It's like, it seems like in the West, like everyone seems to be bothered about what everyone else is doing.
I know, it's really...
It's frustrating.
It's really funny, actually. I mean, I don't really... Yeah, I mean, everyone gets really crazy and has all their opinions and feels like vocalizing their opinions is going to enact a change, but that's not...
Yeah. Over the most petty things as well, like traffic, for example.
Well, yeah, totally. And even on like...
Why are you doing that?
Right. But even on like bigger social issues where it seems really justified and like the anger seems justified, I mean, I don't even know if like the path that people are taking to enact the change is the right path, because I feel like they're creating even more divisiveness, which is the problem, through like their way of fighting it. If that makes any sense.
In what terms? Like which people? And how are they doing that? In the recent elections and the left versus right stuff that's going on everywhere?
Yeah, I mean, pick your pick. There's so much stuff.
Well, everything seems to be so polarized.
I know. And that's the problem.
You're like this or you're like that, or no one seems to be able to disconnect themselves from some political wing
I know.
and have a comment on something.
I know, totally. And they this idea of like, you know, respecting identity, like identity is so important, but really, I mean, we're all a collection of consciousness together, you know what I mean?
Well, we were.
Yeah. I mean, but we still
We
are.
should be able to get that back there.
Totally. So that's what I'm talking about, like the difference between like the human experience versus the spiritual experience. It's like the spiritual experience is that like literally we're all one, and then the human experience is like, no, but I'm gonna be different. You know what I mean?
Well, in the West, we're brought up to believe this independence is the most important thing, right? Whereas here, maybe, you know, not everywhere, but in Asia, it seems to be like the collective is more important.
Totally. But I mean, I've seen a shift here too.
Yeah.
You know, especially like money, greed is definitely like,
yeah, definitely.
You know, totally.
That's a definite them and us kind of situation.
Yeah.
What about tattoos?
What about them? I got them.
Yeah.
I got them a
You
lot.
got plenty of them.
I know.
When did that start?
Oh man, it started when I think I was 16. I got my first tattoo in Israel. It's a really bad one. It's back here. Of course, it was a Chinese character because I was that douchebag who got a Chinese character. Who knows what it means? Probably means like fart smell or something.
Yeah.
But,
oh, fuck you.
Yeah. But yeah, I did that, and you know, yeah. A buddy of mine tattoos in LA at Tattoo Mania. This guy Danny Wild, and he did pretty much most of my stuff, and then I've gotten some stuff at Bali too.
So you're still into it?
I'm over it now. I've done enough.
That looks cool.
I guess so.
You're a rock.
Whatever. It's funny. Like I don't even see them anymore. I don't know. At least they have meaning though. It's all like a story. It's not like, you know, oh, I got a butterfly. You know?
But it kind of makes it makes you connected to other people's tattoos or something.
I mean, actually, I found more of that experience when I had a beard. When I had like a big beard, me and beard men would be like, "Yeah, bro,
man.
Nice beard." You know what I mean?
And if you got tats, it's like, yo.
Yeah, we had that moment. You know what I mean? It was like a mini love affair for 20 seconds. It was really cool. We hugged it out. You know.
I love that. Yeah, and okay, the famous question when it comes to Michaelis, NASCAR.
Oh man, how did that happen?
Yeah.
So
it's been happening for a long time, right?
Yeah, well, finally, I mean, obviously COVID's here, so NASCAR's not really happening, but so I believe in all this whole manifest stuff, right? Because that's where I'm at today.
What you do now
affects
this.
I mean, everything that I want that happens. So literally probably a year before I came to Bali, I was reading a Forbes magazine article about DJ Irie playing for the Miami Heat, and I was like, how does someone get involved with playing for a sports team? That's so cool. And that afternoon my manager called me and said, yo, NASCAR wants to make you their DJ. Are you willing to do that? I was like, yeah.
When was it?
This was 2014, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, 2014. So this guy Trent actually had this vision of sort of making NASCAR cooler for the newer generation, because NASCAR is kind of like got some, you know,
identity crisis.
Yeah, totally. So
getting old.
He brought me to Iowa, the Iowa Speedway. That was my first track, and I prepared this whole like, you know, bootleg mashup blah 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 thing for the driver intros, and then I played like some parties afterwards, and it went really well. And he basically was my advocate and like sold me to all these different tracks, and the next year I was playing like all these tracks, and the following year all these tracks, and I mean that's kind of how it all sort of happened. I mean, it was whatever. And I mean, even it's funny, like I took such a leap of faith coming to Bali because I didn't know if that was going to continue. I didn't come here with a lot of money. I came here with like $4,000, and I was like, okay, we're gonna see what happens, right? And literally everything fell into place, and the NASCAR stuff is really what sort of carried me financially while I was like establishing myself here, you know, which didn't really take that long. I mean, literally everything has just been like shoved in my like abundance, you know.
Well, it's kind of at the right time, you could say too.
Totally, it was really
6
awesome.
years ago, it was pretty busy, right?
But yeah, I mean, it was really interesting NASCAR because it's still like pretty country and rock,
wild,
and finding like country music. Yeah. So it was just like trying to like, you know, play that and appease like the older crowd while also like, you know, playing trap and hip hop and stuff for the younger crowd and making it exciting was an interesting challenge. But I love it. You know, it was like music production. It's like you just rise to the opportunity. I had no idea what I was doing, and I just said yes because that's what I do. And then I showed up, and it was cool.
So. And that was like straight up DJing between rock and hip hop and stuff.
Yeah, totally.
MCing.
I didn't do any MCing at the time. I get on the mic sometimes. I mostly talk shit to people though.
Right.
Like if someone gives me a really bad request, like if someone asks me to play Young, Wild and Free, which is the worst song that Wiz Khalifa and Snoop Dogg ever made, and I don't know why everyone loves it in Bali or in Australia, but they do.
Yeah.
I'll just get on the mic and be like, "Yo, I just want to let you know this song sucks."
And then what happens?
And then I just watch them. Yeah,
you put up a shield as a beer can.
No, they're so drunk. They're like, "I love you." You know, it's like okay. it's really.
But
funny.
in the end, you end up playing it or not?
But yeah, I've played it twice since I've been here, but I'll try to avoid it as much as possible, or hopefully the DJ before me will play it.
So NASCAR is a regular event, like every week or every month, or what is it about?
It's every week. I was going back to America probably 13 or 15 times a year.
Jeez. For
my first like few years, and then it just got to a point where like the traveling was a lot, and I was doing okay in Indonesia financially. I was able to like support myself and be all right. So. I kind of made a decision to kind of chill on that and not do it as much.
Okay. And it's over.
I like being here. Well, right now it's definitely over. You know what I mean? So
that brings me to another question about the DJ lifestyle and being on the road.
Yes.
How's that?
I mean, sometimes it was like not unpacking. You know what I mean? It's like a lot of like not sleeping. It's like a lot of, well, now that I'm like exercising, it's bringing food with me everywhere. It's just like, I travel back and forth to Jakarta every other month for the last like couple years, or no, every month for 2 weeks. So, I mean, it's just a lot. It's like living in hotels and.
So every 2 weeks, you're staying 2 weeks in Jakarta.
Yeah, and stay with 2 weeks in Bali.
Oh yeah.
But that stopped for now until COVID. I don't know what's going on with COVID. What is COVID?
Does it exist? I'm not really sure.
I had COVID apparently.
I probably had it.
No, I did.
I got very sick. I didn't want to get tested. But go ahead.
No. Like I got rapid. Well, because I had to get my
or whatever it is. They put it up your nose.
That was literally the worst thing ever. I don't know. Like I've seen so many people like. On their Instagram stories, like the doctor goes and just kind of goes like that and done. But like I felt like they were literally up my nose for like 5 minutes, like digging
into your brain.
Oh my god! I'm like, my eyes are watering. I'm like coughing and like crying. It was.
And then what happened?
It's horrible.
Wait a minute. How long ago was this?
Which of the COVID?
Yeah.
Oh, it was yesterday. I'm kidding. No. This is like a few months ago. It was like literally right when the like domestic borders opened up. I tested positive for a rapid test, so I knew that I had it at some point. And then I took the PCR test, and that came back positive too. But what's interesting is that every single person that I've been in contact with, including my girlfriend, who like I sleep with, doesn't have it, never had the antibodies, nothing. So in terms of like how contagious this is, or if I have some amazing strain that doesn't get passed on to anybody.
Who knows?
It's very strange.
Whether you ever really had it anyway is another question.
Well, I mean, I took
these tests and everything else.
I know. I mean, I took 3 PCRs and 3 rapid tests, and they all came back positive. So.
Did you feel sick?
I had sickness for 1 day. I lost my taste and smell, which let me know that it was pretty legit. That part sucked.
I can't smell anyway.
Thank God, right?
Yeah.
All that cocaine.
Saves me. No, man, if I put anything up my nose, I sneeze for a week.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I've got a problem with it. Actually, as friends of mine with that issue say, oh, you haven't got a problem, it's good for you.
I know.
That you didn't have it. That you did have that problem. Anyway, so what about hobbies? Do you do stuff, Well, you go to the gym?
Yeah, I go to the gym now. And honestly, I spend all my time being of service to people, and I hang out with my animals.
What's that when you say service to people? What's that?
Okay, well, I'm like in a 12-step program. That's how I got sober, right? So
12
basically,
step program.
12-step.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically,
which is like Alcoholics Anonymous or something.
Like one of them, yeah, right. So I basically take people through the steps
here,
all over the world.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Totally.
Online.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I take people here too, but like all over the world. So that like takes up a lot of time. I'll spend like an hour and a half per person. I do a few people a day. So
And how do they find you?
I mean, at this point, I've kind of been sort of like known as the guy who does it in this specific way, and like people are looking for that specific way. Or like lately, I've been speaking at a lot of meetings, and so people hear me there, and they're like, "Oh, do you want to do the work with me?" And I'm like, "Cool," and there we go. So it's been like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's your specific way?
Oh man, so there was a book that was written that a lot of people don't use anymore, I was taken through it in a really specific way. It kind of breaks it down and explains everything, and so it's basically going through the steps like that rather than what a lot of people are doing.
Is that about the how alcohol is not good for you?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not that it's
Similar to cigarettes not being good for you.
totally. I mean, it's more of like I have an allergy to drugs and alcohol. So if I put drugs and alcohol in my body, like I can't control necessarily what's going to happen next.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Oh.
Like I may intend to show up to like this interview, but I may end up in jail. You know what I mean? Like
So
that's
it's
my
a good
experience.
reason to
Yeah, totally.
not go there.
Yeah, absolutely. You know,
Okay.
but my brain will tell me that I won't go to jail, that I'm gonna show up.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I have this thing that lies to me. You know what I mean? So
So how many people are like that then?
like in the world?
Yeah, like there's a big percentage of the communities
Oh man, there's
fucked up.
Yeah, totally, absolutely.
Is it? Or-
Yeah, so many people. And there's so many people that don't even know it, and that's
Right.
part of it too. They have to figure it out for themselves.
Well, mental issues are pretty big, aren't they? And it's only just recently really coming to light
Well,
the amount of
a
mental
lot-
issues there are.
There's so much misdiagnosis too, because there's a lot of stuff that is drug addiction and alcoholism that's being diagnosed as bipolar or depression or anxiety or whatever. So, and then
Is that an addictive quality to those things causing the problem, or is it a mental issue before that there's no real addiction?
well, what makes someone an addict, right, or an alcoholic is really that physical allergy. So basically, if they put the drugs and alcohol into their body, they can't necessarily control what happens next consistently, right? So that's what the drug addict or an alcoholic. But like the whole spiritual malady part, which is the anxiety, the depression, the worry, the fear, the anger, all that stuff that people are sort of dealing with today, I mean, that gets treated through like basically helping others and connecting to your own personal power within. But like in today's world, on a very human level, there's a pharmaceutical company that needs to make a bunch of money. So basically they've come up with all these drugs to treat all these diagnoses like bipolar, depression, and anxiety. I mean, I was diagnosed with ADHD and given Ritalin as a kid. I was diagnosed with depression, but really once I started just like helping others, all that stuff kind of went away. So
Helping others with a similar problem to what you had.
totally. Absolutely. And there's been people who don't have the same problem that I have that I've been able to help too, because the whole step process, I mean, it can help anybody basically. So yeah.
So you must have had the time to look within yourself as well to see where the issue originated.
I had to, but I can't do like a proper self-assessment because part of the problem is a brain that lies to me about who I am and what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So like I needed to write it,
Which is probably happening
that's
to
human.
most people.
Yeah, that's a human thing.
Yeah.
So I needed to do like a personal inventory. So I needed to look at all my resentments. I needed to look at all my fears. I needed to look at all my like sexual interactions with people too, right? And in my resentments, I needed to look at like my part in all of them. Like where was I at fault in the relationship? Where have I behaved the same way that I'm resenting them? And also like, what am I getting out of holding on to that resentment? My fears, I needed to look at. What decisions or actions I made based on those fears and what unmanageability was created in my life as a result of that. And in my sexual relations, like where was I considerate? Where was I dishonest? Where was I at fault? Or, what could I have done instead? Basically, that kind of thing.
I guess everyone goes through that if you've had ups and downs through your life, and eventually you try to, well, you think you actually got it under control.
Yeah, totally.
Do you? How does that?
Yeah.
Until the next time it rears its head.
Well, writing it down is awesome because when you see it, it's like it's in black and white in front of you. But the important part is reading it to somebody else.
No.
Right?
Admitting that to yourself.
Yeah,
Being
totally.
confident enough to tell other people about
Well,
it.
the cool thing about it is like, because sometimes you can't really see the truth, and that other person with the outside perspective can really help you like nail that, which is awesome.
Well, before we get any deeper.
Okay. Yeah, let's get shallow again. What's
All right.
up?
What is up? What about the Bali music scene? After your 6 years of here, what do you think?
Which part of it? I mean, there's a few.
Well, it's continually changing,
There
especially.
is.
Well, even before the pandemic, it was already changing.
There's definitely a separation between the, like, you know, techno, minimal, tech house, Afro tech, blah 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 scene, and everything else, which I guess is called hip hop, but hip hop here is really funny. I mean, hip hop is really just top 40 DJing. Like, there's not,
and they seem to love it. You know, the punters. Well, these places that are playing hip hop seem to be a lot busier than the places playing, you know,
I think
sexy beats.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I think it's different. I mean, you know, you went to Genja when it existed, and their house nights were awesome.
Yeah, but there's only 200 people there. even when, you know, Hernan Catania or something was playing, there was only 400 people.
Yeah, totally.
And he couldn't even move. But that was one of the problems with the joint. Anyway.
But I think, like, you know, some of those, like, beach, like 707 and stuff like that, like Shimoy plays there. He's fucking awesome.
They got their regulars.
And I love him because he's, like, so not elitist about it. He's super loving and supportive of, like, everything. And I feel like that's how we should all be. But there's just,
it's a real pure energy, isn't it?
Totally, he's great. He gives the best hugs. It's kind of like, it's rad. I mean, and I think, like, that's what music is all about. It's about connection and connectivity, and, like, these people out there who are, like, so snobby about, like, I can only play this and I will only listen to this, and everything that's not this sucks, and I'm gonna take you to a new level of blah blah blah. And I'm just like, bro, you're playing fucking deep house, dude. Yeah. Chill out. You know what I mean? It's cool. Yeah. Like, music's
great
good,
sounds,
but relax. You know, it's not like the answer to the world.
It's everything, you know, there's nothing original under the sun.
No.
And some people have to remember that sometimes. But when you're young and, you know, fresh, maybe you think it is original or whatever you're doing as well.
But the hip-hop scene's really changed a lot since I've, like, come here. Actually, it's definitely playing newer hip-hop. When I came here, it was like, the hits were like Nelly Ride It and KRS-One, Sound of the Police, and like that Young, Wild and Free and Where's the Love, and a lot of like really cheesy songs, and it's definitely evolved into more of the new school sound.
Even like La Favela? Or...
Yeah, even there. Yeah. La Favela definitely goes way more open format, kind of like just party rock.
Open format?
Yes. That's what most hip-hop places are here. Literally.
What is open format?
Okay, so the only hip-hop like place that I've ever really seen here that was like really hip hop was Lost City on Thursday night. Okay. And the only reason that was hip hop was because like I said we are only playing hip hop. Right? But like every other place, open format means like Moonbatone, dance hall, hip hop, a rock song, a funk song, a blah blah blah,
a hit from
some top
40 years ago or something.
You know, Ed Sheeran.
Bob Marley drops in.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's cool. But even La Favela's changed a bit, though. I mean, when I first came to Bali, I remember being in La Favela and, like, before I was ever booked there, and just, like, dancing for, like, 2.5 minutes, and then all of a sudden it, like, switches something else, and it'd be like, why did you do that, you know? But, like, the flow has definitely changed, and it's cool, you know?
Like, everyone considers you to be this hip-hop DJ, but deep inside, you're the progressive house guy.
Well, I don't know if it's even progressive house. Like, I mean, I've been really kind of like these sort of like Afro tech sounds, like with percussion, and I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't brand me anything in particular. Actually, you know, it's just all about mood. I just don't really get an opportunity to play anything else here because of how people see me. You know.
Have you tried playing house? Like booked for a house gig?
I don't think I've ever gotten booked to play house here. I've been like at Bali Praia. There was a couple times I did like a deep tech kind of like set there, and then I did like a really like cheesy, like not cheesy but classic house, like, you know, banger set with Kinky Malinky there as well. But aside from that,
early house or
yeah, totally, like 90s sounds, which I love. I mean, I love 90s house music
for sure.
That's when it
was real, right?
Awesome. I mean, really
UK
awesome.
kind of
Yeah,
sound.
yeah, totally.
It's still there, right? I
Or
think
even like San Francisco, like
Okay.
yeah. I don't know if you.
I don't know.
It's like that funky house. It's just yeah.
I just remember that show they had at Coup d'etat last year, the Glitter Box, which was it's from Ibiza. A Glitter Box as a brand or a night somewhere in Ibiza, and they're in Australia. And they passed through here one night on a Tuesday night. Actually, I remember because it was the Melbourne Cup, which is the first Tuesday of November. So on a Tuesday night, 2019, this show was at Coup d'etat, and it was packed out, and they played some amazing, great,
That's awesome.
house music, vocals, and they
Like
had
real
singers.
house.
They had singers from UK and stuff, and dancers from Ibiza. It was really a knockout.
That
show.
sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I wish but I didn't.
You've got to read the Beat magazine more often, I guess.
Where is that? Is it?
It's
underground for a minute?
Yeah, it's in the wings.
Okay, cool. It'll come back.
Well, it's online now, but whatever online's worth,
I don't know.
it's hard to say.
It is really
Nothing
hard to
really
say, right?
stands out anymore. Look at PNNY, Penny. They have these shows. Don't advertise it. And I don't think they even put a flyer up, and they get 2,000 people.
What are they anyway?
No, a bunch of young kids
Bunch of young kids.
with Andy Tunes.
Is Andy Tunes a PNNY Penny person?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. So
Yeah.
He's like the Godfather or something.
He is.
The rest of them are like 25.
Yeah, like today's Renaissance. Get like
That's right.
Yeah, that guy. I like that kid.
Yeah, he plays good music too, right?
I think so. Honestly, I think I've only heard him DJ once at Who Bar, but I just like him as a human being.
All right, I don't really know.
Yeah, you're like that piece of shit. I'm
No.
kidding. No, he's awesome.
Well, he's a Bali boy, a Bali baby, right?
Yeah.
And so that Bali music scene, where's the best place for you to play it?
Right now, I'm enjoying Shady Pig. It has like Tusu vibes, which I really enjoyed way back in the day. Prior to COVID, I really enjoyed Lost City on Thursday nights.
That's for you to play, right?
Yeah, playing.
Yeah,
totally. Because tonight I'm actually at Shady Pig, and on Tuesday nights, like I can keep it pretty hip hop. Because like, look, if I'm gonna play hip hop, I want to play hip hop. Like I don't want to play like top 40 really cheesy stuff. Like that's just not my.
Yeah, so it's
thing.
when you say real hip hop, it's new hip hop or
Well, I don't even mind-
90s hip hop or something.
I don't even mind playing like old school hip hop, like 90s hip hop, but I still don't want to play like cheesy stuff.
Yeah.
I just don't want to play like top 40, like Justin Bieber, Ed Sheeran, like that kind of stuff. Like I don't want to play that. I don't want to play Dua Lipa on a hip hop
Is
show.
that because it's being heard too much and you want to educate people, or is it?
No.
Or is that a certain flavor that you?
No, I
you're
just
looking
don't
for?
like. I don't like pop music. It's the same reason that when I was in the 90s, you know what I mean? Like I wasn't listening to hip hop then when I think it was actually probably cooler. Like back then I was listening to, No Effects and Lagwagon and Face to Face and Pegboy and probably a bunch of people that you've never heard of.
Don't think of it. No,
Yeah, totally. But it's like, it was like punk music or,
Yeah.
Slayer. You know who they are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was listening to like that stuff back then. So I've always kind of veered away from just sort of the candy music,
Underground,
Yeah,
sort of.
yeah, totally.
The Velvet Underground.
Oh man,
That's going back.
they're kind of like a one-hit wonder, even though like they went deep and had a bunch of stuff. But
Well, they did have a lot of. They had an effect on many
yeah, totally.
different bands. That new wave sort of shoegazing bands, probably more than punk bands.
Shoegazy, yeah.
There's a lot of- they're still around.
Like
right?
My Bloody Valentine, like that whole.
Yeah, I can't remember any names.
Come
I'm
on.
terrible with names.
That's alright. I still love you. That's cool.
So speaking of influences, what were your greatest influences?
As a DJ,
Yeah.
well, definitely Mixmaster Mike, which I had the opportunity to play with.
Okay.
I've actually had an opportunity to play with every single person I've ever thought was amazing, which I'm very blessed to be able to say. But Mixmaster Mike, in terms of turntablism, Grant Plant, DJ Dan back in the day, when he played funky breaks. It is funny. I saw him at Coachella, and I was talking to him, and I was like, "Yo, dude, you have to go back and play a funky break set," because he's been playing sort of more progressive, what is that, Olav Basalski, you know what I'm talking about? Anyway, this sort of Jack Any House like kind of stuff, and I'm like,
when they change it,
yeah, they
kinda evolving into something else.
Yeah, totally. And he was just like, he was also the first house DJ I ever heard like scratching too. I mean, I always was interested in like hearing DJs that did it a little bit differently. So, yeah, Grant Plant, him, Marcus Wyatt for like that deep house. Mark Farina is definitely for those epic 9-hour sets. I mean, I love all that stuff.
And
so,
you're DJing with all that crew?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I played with all of them except for I never played with Mark Farina before. Dude, I had a guy like literally a promoter pay me money to replace Steve Aoki while he was DJing at the opening of this club called MI6. And I can share this because that promoter's dead now, but like, yeah, I mean, it was rough going for Steve Aoki in the beginning. I mean, not like as a name. I mean, he was huge at the time, but like just as a DJ, it's so funny like getting to play with all these, sort of famous people and like seeing how they actually play, and it's.
And why was it uncomfortable?
I mean, the only time it was really uncomfortable for me is when they asked me to headline for Doc Martin, because Doc Martin was someone that I used to like really look up to, and I used to go see all the time, and I thought that I was going to actually be opening for him. This was the first time I ever played at Supper Club. And I got a call that afternoon from actually the same promoter, and he was like, "Yo, actually, can you headline tonight?" And I was like, "What do you mean? Is Doc not playing?" And he's like, "No, Doc will open for you." And I was like,
Then why?
I don't know. I mean, but it was like mind blowing. And I literally, I mean, I saw him and I was like, "Yo, dude, I love you. I'm so sorry," And he like hugged me, and it was cool,
Why?
But,
Because he wasn't the flavor, or people weren't interested, or something.
I think like Supper Club was a little bit more like on the commercial house EDM tip at that time, and Doc Martin, of course, is like a house DJ, sub level that whole.
So they didn't want to have him boring all the young guys.
Yeah, I mean, Supper Club's a big bottle service club, so yeah, totally.
That was a big barn or something. It looks like a big shed or something.
It was like actually an old theater. That they converted into a club. It's literally like the best club that I've ever played at or been to in my entire life. It, it will always be like that was the heyday of clubs for me, for sure. I definitely got the most exposure and got to see the craziest stuff and play with the most insane people. And it was awesome.
I saw some of the photos.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah,
like that place really lifted me up, and it was that promoter who's actually dead now, who had me DJ that night for his birthday. Like that's how I got introduced to that place, and it literally changed my life. So
there you go. Well, we've got some music of yours now.
Okay.
And before we go, where can people catch up with you? Okay, tonight.
Oh yeah,
on the live one.
Tonight is the Shady Pig. Tomorrow night I'm doing an early set at Old Man's, and then following
which is
that,
Wednesday.
Yeah, that is Wednesday, and then following a late night set at Mirror on Wednesday, and then I think that might be it for this week. I can't really remember. Oh, Roosterfish on Friday, which like is such a beautiful place. It really needs people.
Oh, down there.
Yeah, down there in Uluwatu, Madawa Beach. But it's like it's epic, and the food's amazing, and it's just like it's a drive.
It's a long trip.
It's a drive, but what? So is Omnia. But people showed up there.
Yeah, sure.
So
and they got the chance to see Michaelis.
Oh, right there.
There's a lot. That's a very local kind of joint too, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of local tourists. I imagine it gets pretty busy sometimes.
Yeah, it does.
Because all these other places are closed. Well, Carmen Beach is.
Carmen Beach, is open, but it's not like this place has a pool. It's got like a whole.
Yeah, I went to one of their shows.
Oh, you did?
Last year.
Did you sit in the lawn? Did you hang out?
It was a big show. It was like I can't remember. It's a big name. I'm terrible with names. Thank you. I'm going to mention it.
That's good.
It was about a year ago.
I forgot about you already.
I'll remember. I'll remember it about by tomorrow afternoon. I'll send it in. Anyway, this is Afro Tech Mix from Michaelis. What's this all about?
I mean, I opened it up with a speech from Martin Luther King, which I thought was very appropriate for now, and then it's just vibey. It's one of those close your eyes, set yourself a dreamland. If you got a blunt, smoke it.
You ready?
But don't tell anybody about it.
That's the right one, right?
That's right.
Okay. So
I don't know.
Thanks for joining the show.
Thanks for having me.
Glad to meet you at last.
Actually, we've talked a few times on the radio
I know.
back in the terrestrial times.
Yeah, totally. It's amazing.
Yeah.